From the media center here at Final Fact, Kukumlemle, you're welcome to Joy News Prime, the most comprehensive 2 hours of television news in Ghana. My name is Israel Lion. Coming up, Information Services Department staff protest admission of responsibility for fatal errors found in Independence Anniversary brochure, compelling the acting director to backtrack on an earlier statement issued to the media. As the world marks International Women's Day, former First Lady Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings urges women to register their customary marriages to minimize the contentions that arise on the death of their spouses. Joy News uncovers extensive destruction to farmlands in the Afram Plains area in the eastern region from activities of marauding cattle of nomadic herdsmen.
And in business, Bank of Ghana rejects blame for microfinance debacle, which led to the loss of millions of Ghana cedis in depositors' funds. And government hands over fully furnished 2-bedroom house promised brave taxi driver who foiled a robbery attack some months ago. But the wife is unhappy. We'll tell you why. Also in this news package, available across Europe on ABN television on the Sky platform, is entertainment, sport, and Joy News Interactive. Stay tuned. Now, the long-standing conflict between nomadic Fulani herdsmen and indigents has in recent weeks focused mainly on Agogo in the Ashanti region, where some lives have been lost and property destroyed. Joy News investigations have, however, revealed extensive destruction to farmlands in the Afram Plains area in the eastern region as well. Kwete Nate, who's been to the area, says though the herdsmen admit guilt, they say they have been unfairly vilified and that they are not as terrible as they have been characterized.
70-year-old Bapere Derry Matthew is thinking deeply about what to live on tomorrow. There are many mouths to feed, but little food available for the family. Providing 3 square meals for 20 children and 3 wives has been the cause of Bapere's sleepless night.
I feel we there come come. Just a near money in by banching in near to corning in.
We would die of hunger this year. Everything has been destroyed by the herds of cattle belonging to the nomadic herdsmen.
Now we who now an antia. Oh, Busano was in Yandia, was in Yandia. Bayrano, Nina, or to go, what would to go no? I think a joke of winning in a Toronto. Indeed, Sansa, a higher papa.
That's the only burden on the head of the 70-year-old farmer. He's contemplating making his 6 children drop out of school. This is because he does not know where he might find money for their educational needs. I am helpless and in dilemma. I don't know how to feed my family. There is a reason behind his woes. His 5-acre cassava farm has been destroyed by cattle reared by the nomadic herdsmen. This is not the first time Bapere has suffered such destruction. He was lucky to have identified the herdsmen responsible for the earlier damage, and they paid the cost. It's not so this time around, and like many other farmers, they have several tracts of their land destroyed. Ejayao is one of such farmers, and he shares his plight.
Banki Bayre Fan Mayan Wafumo, Nina Katia, dear 200 no Mobana, Yakanina, dear Banki, Nibaran, Doma, Unina, Yamatua, Goma, Unina, can you walk up in one and the Oman to me?
My farm produce have been destroyed by the cattle. I was able to identify those responsible for the destruction, but they fled after I drew their attention to the damage.
Na wakwa na baby amede be kwa tutu na na kwa kano misi yu ya oda wamba efia da wamba ndame me da su besisi ri wamba nti tete mi kwa me fata hunu mi hunu kwa me fata hunu baby amekwa na omote na me di na twi na chiko no mekwa no munni ho omasha mu no manyina asare ho.
I set off in search of the nomadic herdsmen here at Papaso to seek some reactions to the issues raised. Alhaji Amadu, a spokesperson for the herdsmen, he concedes that the cattle are responsible for the destruction of a number of farmlands in the community, but refute claims they don't pay for cost of damage.
Umubana pena umusi yanko kunanjwe ana misi o nanjwe de munko nanjwe kunanjwe bia nanjwe nyina ya mide se bone bi no mu ye firi bebia mu de mu nkirami na anempa mi di bone ma no se o hadia na ma afira no na mi ne no yanko sia se mi dinika na matoya nika mi dinika susu a se o mu pese mi ntina hadia na mi pam mi mboa no na mpiri ha.
The Joint Military and Police Task Force brutalized me when they came here. I asked if my animals had destroyed any farmland, so I pay for the destruction. They did not take my plea and beat me up.
Report for far to Bubaini Omugalo. In Isikai, the Mudijuana, the Kotu Mana Joanna, Omuhuni Torsi Ban or Majani, Namafa Bubano in nti mi fa ba na media to be na mo ba na mo hunu se buba no ana mo si added to no wine no se me de mi de to bia buba no se mo di achinja mbeti ma fa mo akọ bebia o makọ kuna nhwe na mo kasa makọ hunu se yampa enu kwa no mo kusu buru mi kwa.
He says they've become victims of undue stereotype, and this has led to the killing of several of their animals by the community folk. It's now a tale of fear between the locals here at Afram Plains and the Fulani herdsmen, as neither side knows what they could lose the next day. Reporting for Joy News, Kwetenate, Afram Plains.
In a related development, the Nigerian High Commission in Ghana says the only way to resolve the current impasse between nomadic herdsmen and landowners in the country is for ECOWAS countries to develop a policy on ranching. According to the Commission, though ECOWAS protocols allow free movement, there's a need for member states to develop their own policies to streamline activities of the herdsmen. Addressing the media today, the acting High Commissioner to Ghana says 7 Fulanis from Nigeria have already been reported dead in an ongoing feud in some parts of Ghana. She adds inciting people against Fulani herdsmen is not the way to go.
Lives and properties have been lost on both sides of the divide since the conflict started many years ago. The Nigerian High Commission says its record shows that 7 herdsmen from Nigeria have died in the last few months. The Nigerian High Commission in Ghana has announced plans to intervene in the matter. The acting High Commissioner to Ghana, addressing the media in Accra, said the feud must be resolved amicably so it does not get out of control.
Before it snowballed into crisis, it was a conflict. Conflict in the sense that it could be resolved, because this is not the first time that Fulani herdsmen and the landowners, especially the farmers, have been having one conflict or the other. But the difference is that once it's being resolved in terms of compensation is paid, maybe it could not skyrocket into crisis. So on reaching that, and we realized that we suffered 7 Fulani herdsmen that died in the course of the conflict. Some were actually as a result of maybe taken away. We could not really say this is actually whether we could group them as death or they are still being reprimanded somewhere. It would be unfair to say everything is being caused by Fulani herdsmen. Their roles played by even the national. Look at the incitement concerning, you just have to flush the Fulani herdsmen out of your area, the youth, and we all know the importance. There is this grace given to the youth. Once they are being asked or being quickened to, they are quickened to respond. So in the process, we realize that we are moving away from what has always been a conflict and is getting to a crisis.
The Commission also called on Africa foreign missions in Ghana to join in the discussion.
It's not a Nigerian issue, it's issue of ECOWAS. And we intend also believing that this thing has to be taken to ECOWAS. It's true, there's a protocol of movement, but that notwithstanding, there is still need for peaceful coexistence. And the Herdsmen too should go by the rules guiding the community, because we are talking about landowners. Yes, they gave them land, but that land must have been in knowing that the farmers too are there. They are supposed to be confined to certain area. We are not yet in ranching in Africa, especially in West Africa. We are still on free ranching. And if free ranching is still the order of the day, then they should work within the rules that is guiding the community.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break at this point, but we have more stories coming up after the break. Don't go away. The acting director of the Information Services Department, who signed off a statement accepting blame and apologizing for the grievous errors in the Ghana 50 independence brochure, has backtracked from his earlier stance. President Squatting Arthur on Tuesday told newsmen his department had nothing to do with the production of the brochure as he had earlier claimed. The U-turn, however, followed a massive protest staged by the staff of ISD over the statement of apology issued by the acting director on Monday.
Staff of the Information Service Department demonstrated at their head office in Accra over the statement issued by the acting director accepting responsibility for the error-reading 59th Independence Day anniversary brochure Tuesday morning. They demanded a retraction of a statement purportedly issued and signed by the acting director.
At that time, within the preparations for the anniversary, that office was quite dormant. There was nothing happening. You understand? And officers from the office can tell you. Can you see that there is cohesion? The whole place is in chaos. Why are people complaining? The people are complaining that you have not given us the job to do, and yet you have taken blame for the problems that the job has brought. That is way below the belt. You cannot query me for what I haven't done.
The workers said they see no need to take the flak for the embarrassing errors made in Ghana's 59th independence anniversary brochure.
Even though we are here, we are the primary publics, but yet we don't have full information. You'll be surprised we don't know why ISD didn't give out accreditation, when in actual fact, ISD is the main PR outfit of government. So we have a media liaison section here. Under normal circumstances, ISD is supposed to do all that. We are not doing it. So these are questions you should be asking the acting director. Maybe he has answers. We don't know.
Journalists seeking answers hanged around the office in anticipation for a reaction. After hours of waiting, the acting director of the Information Service Department emerged to address the media. In a quick U-turn of the statement he signed earlier, he indicated the department had nothing to do with the gaffe.
As acting director for the Information Services Department, I issued a press release yesterday apologizing to His Excellency the President and members of the National Planning Committee and the good people of Ghana at large for all the inadequacies that was realized in the brochures. You understand? As ISD, I assume full responsibility for the content, and that is what my statement said. Now, I issued the statement in my capacity as the acting director of ISD, and again as the chair of the communications subcommittee. After meeting with my colleagues, with deliberations, I have acknowledged that I should have issued it in my capacity as the chair for the communications subcommittee, okay, of the national committee.
He said the Communications Bureau of the Presidency took the responsibility to print the brochures, a duty the ISD has embarked on for the last 5 years.
I have listened to their suggestions and I'm prepared to move along with my team collectively. And once again, I thank you all. In every bad thing, you try to identify one or good thing. Today, the people of Ghana know that ISD is still alive, and I crave your indulgence. Please, when you go, solicit for support for ISD any which way you can. Thank you.
Who is responsible for the errors?
Right, so now I'm being joined in the studio by Manasseh Azuri, who's been following this story, and he's going to be sharing with us a bit more about what he knows about the developments that have taken place since yesterday or since the story broke. Good evening to you, Manasseh, and thank you for making time to join me in the studio. So let's get back to the Information Services Department and what you found out there. You can hear them talk, and you get the impression that there's more to this story than we're here, the sound bites that we're hearing.
Well, Israel, that is true, because they feel sidelined, because they think there are certain things that are their core mandates, and someone is trying to take their job from them. For instance, they are talking about accreditation, that if there was a national event, the ISD was the institution charged with issuing out accreditations. They said that has been taken by the presidency. And they also think that...
Why is it that they lack the capacity to do that?
They say no, because they have the experience. With this brochure, when you talk to them, they tell you that they have the template. So it isn't the case that when it is time, they would now get someone to write. And even if they are supposed to generate the content, you would have not less than 3 people going through the script to ensure that everything is set. So they think they have the capacity. I visited their printing press, and they believe they have been starved of resources. As of the time I was there was no light at their printing press. And what they said was that they owed electricity bills, so they've been disconnected.
For how long?
And for some months, a number of months now.
Could that be the reason why they probably didn't give them the contract?
That is not the reason, because for them, if you really want them to work, you give them the resources to work with. So they believe someone is trying to stifle the activities there or sabotage them and use that as an excuse to take contracts outside. So they are really not happy about what is going on, because they feel they are capable of doing it, and when things don't work out, someone wants them to take the blame for someone else's error. So
what do we know about who or which company was responsible for the printing of this brochure?
Well, when you listen to the director, he made mention of the fact that the committee met, that's the Independence Anniversary Committee. They had a subcommittee on communication. So when they met, the decision was to give the printing to the Communication Bureau of the Flagstaff House. And if you look at the back of the brochure, you would find the email address, the web address, Facebook, and other details of the presidency at the back. And what the ISD guys are saying is that whenever they did the printing, they put their information at the back. So that also goes to confirm that the printing was, the printing was done. Yesterday, I tried to get independent verification, even before the apology came out. So what I did was to call the chairman of the committee, that's Commodore Steve Obimpe, and I wanted to know who was responsible for these errors and the brochure. And what he said was that I should speak to Stan Dogbe, who is a presidential staffer, and he is one of the top guys at the Communication Bureau.
Okay, but he didn't say that he was responsible or he printed them.
He said he's responsible for the brochure, speak to him. So when the statement came, I tried calling him to find out the exact role Stan Dogbe played, but he wouldn't pick up. I also sent Stan Dogbe a message, I called him, he didn't pick, the message was not answered. So for now, it is still unclear which company actually printed the brochure.
Right. Manasseh, one other thing that's curious is the fact that, granted, we've seen errors or, mistakes happen. Is it that nobody noticed the mistakes? One of them, the very fatal one or the very grievous one, is the fact that they said Uhuru Kenyatta was the president of the Republic of Ghana. Didn't anybody notice before they were handed over, the brochures were handed over?
the director, when he had a meeting with his staff today, he revealed that the errors were noticed. That morning, before they even went to the Independence Square, someone called him and drew his attention to the errors in the brochure. When he got to the Independence Square too, others also drew his attention to the errors.
And what did he do about it?
He said it was a decision to either do the program without a brochure or to give the brochure out with the errors. So he decided to give the brochure out with the errors because he thought that was the best decision to take. So they knew about it before the program started, but for him, he thought that was the best thing to do. And on Sunday, they met, after the program, they met and tried to find out what to do because they anticipated that
the backlash.
So it happened that they had to do damage control. And he believes that the Information Services Department is the PR unit for the government. So if they are supposed to do damage control for the government, it should come from the ISD. And that is what led to the apology
statement.
Yes.
That came from
and
them.
his workers also confronted him with the fact that the apology was not written on the ISD letterhead. And he said, well, that is true because as of the time he was rendering the apology, he didn't have a letterhead ready with him. So all he had to do was to just pick the coat of arms, put it there, and then issued the statement.
All right. Okay, thank you very much, Manasseh Asare Awuni. Manasseh Asare Awuni has been following the story about the anniversary brochure, Independence anniversary brochure, and all the blunders and the grievous errors that have been identified in there. In other news, the founder and leader of the Progressive People's Party, Dr. Papa Kwesi Ndum, is charging President Mahama to use revenue from taxes wisely, rejecting the president's state of the nation as not reflecting the reality on the ground. He asked government to desist from using tax proceeds to brand buses and fund political campaigns. He made these comments after filing his taxes earlier on Tuesday.
The 2012 presidential candidate of the PPP, Dr. Ndum, accused President Mahama of spending taxpayers' money on his political campaigns. Justifying his accusation, the PPP leader argued that there is substantial evidence to show that President Mahama is indiscriminately using the monies of taxpayers to fuel his campaigns. President Mahama has been accused of excessive expenditure in public campaigns, with the recent one being the controversial bars rebranding scandal, which amounted to some 3.6 million Ghana cedis. As the 2016 general elections draw near, several political parties have already begun their political campaigns, with the incumbent National Democratic Congress documented to be leading in terms of campaign intensity. Dr. Ndum, who is on record to have filed his tax returns every year since he entered public life, said government cannot continue to pile up more taxes on the people only to misuse the revenue.
I'm happy that they are building a sugar factory because I'm also going to help. But I'm not happy that a factory has been built, they are employing people, but there is no sugar cane that has been planted. So what are we going to do? Are we going to import sugarcane or raw material? When outboard motors are distributed with my tax money, and there are photographs of John Dramani Mahama on the outboard motors, that's my tax money. I pay tax. When they brand buses with John Mahama's photograph, ostensibly with the photographs of other people, we know what he's doing. It's campaign that they are doing with my tax money. So I want the president to know I have paid my tax. My money should be used wisely for development.
Dr. Ndum also gave his backing to his former running mate, Eva Loco's quest to contest the Klote-Kolik constituency parliamentary seat in Accra. He insists Eva Loco will be a better representative of the people since she is an indigene of the area and well prepared for the task ahead.
We need good people in parliament. We need some of our best people in parliament. And Eva Loco is one of the better people that we have in this country. Okay, as a professional who has worked with an international organization, as someone who had risen to become Director General of GBC, and as someone who is working to employ and help the youth to develop. And you know, in Ghana, anybody gets up and says, I want to be president. We don't know where they come from. And it has hurt this country, people without experience. And so we have asked our people, especially in the PPP, that yes, you have good qualifications, but stay on the ground and become grounded. And then she has also explained that, look, all of us, we are in Ga land, Accra land. There are Ga people here. We walk over Ga people, okay? All of you included. We walk over Ga people. Who's going to provide leadership for Gadangwes in Ga land? Who? I believe that what she's doing is a good example for Ga people, for them to know that leadership can also spring from within this place here.
Eva Loco is a former Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation.
Watching Joy News Prime, we're taking a break. When we come back, we bring you business news. Please don't go away. Right, it's time for business, and Emmanuel has joined me. Good evening to you, Emmanuel.
Good evening, Israel. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Right. So, one of the biggest business stories that's been making headlines today is the fact that the Bank of Ghana governor eventually has been to Parliament.
Exactly.
Because the parliamentarians have been asking for this for a while now.
Yes, sure.
And he's there, or he's supposed to go there to address the issues that are coming up as a result of this microfinance saga, where lots of depositors lost millions of Ghana cedis, to these companies that collapsed. I'm going to go to my journal online where that story is there. So the Bank of Ghana says they can't be blamed for the scandal, and Dr. Wampa. So the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Henry Kofi Wampa, says the Bank of Ghana cannot be blamed for not monitoring a microfinance crisis where several hundreds lost their deposits through Ponzi schemes. And you see, this position that he's taking is quite contrary to what the president himself had to say. But the president actually blamed the Bank of Ghana for failing to monitor them adequately, and the result. But here the Bank of Ghana governor is saying no.
It's quite dicey, Israel.
They're saying they can't be blamed. Yes, so commenting on the most recent scandal involving DKM Microfinance, Diamond Microfinance, Mr. Wampa says the bank cannot be blamed for not monitoring DKM and others because the law says they should undertake field visits once in a year. And so essentially, that's the point he's making.
Well, it's finding a nice way of maybe getting out of this controversy. That's how I see it. It will be very interesting at this point because the Bank of Ghana, being the regulator, did not have any direct contact with the people. Even though it's a regulator, it doesn't actually have an initial contract with the depositors. They readily took their funds there. So to say that they should pay them will be quite a bit of a problem.
Well, you can't expect the Bank of Ghana to pay the depositors.
Exactly.
But the Bank of Ghana should take charge and make sure, they should have avoided this. This shouldn't have happened in the first place if they were monitoring effectively.
You're right.
But anyway, there's more on this story.
There is more, and I know that in the following days, people are going to really debate this particular statement by the governor. So let's get the details. And the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Kofi Wampa, has indicated that selling assets of DKM Finance might not even be enough to pay off depositors. Now, the governor disclosed this when he appeared before Parliament to answer questions from members over developments at the microfinance company. There have been calls that frozen assets of the microfinance company be liquidated to pay depositors' funds. But answering questions from Parliament, the governor says it might be difficult to do this.
They have paid some people. They have paid some people. We have to go back to ascertain those they have paid and so on. So it's not a process you can do, say, tomorrow. So you still have to do that audit to really ensure that you are doing the proper thing. So I'm saying that we are in that process. We will complete that. That's why we are working closely and very quickly with the Auditor General. We'll continue doing that. And then as soon as we move on, we will consult members, maybe individually, those who have the expertise in the area to also get some advice on how to do.
All right, so the finance minister last month also disclosed to Parliament that DKM actually diverted about 77 million Ghana cedis of depositors' funds into their subsidiaries. Moving on, exhibitors at this year's edition of the Ghana International Trade Fair have expressed dissatisfaction with the outcome of the event. The 20th edition of the fair, which kicked off on the 25th of February, ended yesterday in the northern regional capital, Tamale.
Because of the trade fair, I was expecting to get more than what. And on the radio, they took the whole thing was very bad. Because I'm here with the Guinea Cow. So the whole thing is very bad. Yesterday, like the people were outside doing the taking sides for the company. Yesterday, one out of my classes.
The Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, has backed moves by government to provide accreditation for apprentices. The President, James Asare, spoke to Joy Business at the inauguration of the British Council's Skills Hub and Innovation Centre.
AGI is in full support of the Skills Hub project being rolled out by British Council. We think that it's high time we took the bold step in ensuring that we build capacities, you see, of trainees, and for that matter, our young graduates to be able to fit industry. You know, we are going to use our network, we are going to use our various channels, you know, to ensure that our members, particularly, the medium size and large businesses also get involved. No matter how small we begin, we need to be able to roll it out, train our students. We should be able to create that enabling environment by creating the platform, you know, to have vacancies for students for internship, and also some recruitment in terms of management trainees, and then we build their capacities.
Now, government's cost of borrowing continues to increase despite recent progress made in stabilizing the economy. It paid almost 25% on the 5-year bond issued last week. This is the highest since November 2015. So what could be accounting for the rising costs, and should businessmen be worried? George Wiafe has more.
The 5-year bond, which was issued last Thursday, saw government accepting 746.4 million Ghana cedis from both local and foreign investors who participated in the auction, even though it got bids worth 776 million Ghana cedis. Proceeds from the bonds are expected to be used to finance some projects outlined in the 2016 budget and also pay off some previous bonds that are maturing. This is the second time since November 2015 that government has worked with some selected institutions like Barclays Bank, Stanbic, and Strategic African Securities to raise this 5-year bond, which was specifically targeted at institutional investors, pension funds, and unit trust, in what some might call the book-building approach. However, for some analysts, the interest paid on this bond, even though might be marginal compared to a similar bond issued in November, could indirectly influence the cost of borrowing over a 5-year period for businesses and individuals, since the majority of banks might not lend below 24.75% if you turn to them to borrow. This could also impact on the country's cost of borrowing and even the public debt, which has been rising in recent times. For some, it is also interesting that despite some gains made by government in keeping its expenditure within the approved budget limit, and also the fact that it's been able to raise more revenue than targeted amount in 2015 and so far in the 2016 budget, this was not enough to convince investors to reduce the interest that they were asking to be paid on this 5-year bond.
So what can be done to reduce government's cost of borrowing as it prepares to issue another bond in the coming months? Professor Peter Quartey is an economist.
Borrowing too much from the system, the domestic banking system. If government is able to reduce its borrowing,
that can drive down interest rates. But also, I think the default risk is also there, the high default risk where people borrow and they don't pay. So once that is there, we need to correct for that. We need to have better address system, better ways of tracking loan applicants so that we have a good credit reference agency that is used by all parties. Then you'll be able to assess the risk of potential borrowers. That will drive down the risk of borrowing. So that is one. Then the macro fundamentals, I think we need to do a bit more. If government is able to manage expenditure, is able to cut its costs according to size, then we'll, in this very short term, we'll be able to help in driving down interest rates.
It's live on the business segment, and it's time to go to the stock market. John Kujamwako is already here with me. John, how is it today?
Very good.
So after the holidays, how did it
naturally, as you saw traffic in town today, same applied on the Ghana Stock Exchange. When after holidays, we did not see a lot of activity here on the bourse of Ghana, basically. Volume very low, 72,592 at a value of 166. Market capitalization did not actually change. CI 0 point, FI 0 point, meaning that nothing really moved the market today. It doesn't mean that nothing traded. Okay. World traded, Standard Chartered Bank traded, and I think, yes, Aluex also did trade, but they were not strong enough to actually move the market, meaning that activity levels in the market were quite low. So basically, that is what exactly it is. So not much to talk about insofar as the Ghana Stock Exchange is actually concerned. Okay. Probably tomorrow we will actually look at a lot more activity here. That's exactly what this particular slide is showing. So it's really blank because no movement on the Ghana stock. That's exactly what it means. So basically, that says that. And then oil is also shared almost about $1 after it lost about 84 cents. You know, this afternoon was actually doing almost about $40 per barrel. It shared some value, almost around 84 cents to close about $39.88 per barrel. Exactly.
The trend again.
It's not. I mean, this cannot really determine the trend. Basically, it's just sometimes it moves up and it stabilizes a bit, then it moves again. You need some policy and other directions to actually make sustained movement. And gold also did lose, as you can see. Almost all the commodities are losing. Gold lost almost about $3.99. As cocoa also lost 30. All right. Similarly, the currencies
not doing well.
Ghana CD lost to almost all the four major trading currencies here in Ghana. We're talking US dollar, the British pound, the euro, and the Chinese one. That is how it is. It's cyclical, and basically it's nothing. There's nothing wrong about that. Probably tomorrow we see some resurgence and of course an improvement in today's performance. Basically.
All right, thank you very much for that. And that was John Kujamwako ending tonight's business. My name is Emmanuel Apuaji Wiafi. Good evening.
And you're welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now, former First Lady Nana Konadu-Agyeman-Rawlings believes if marriages are properly registered, most of the contentions that arise after the death of a spouse will not occur. She said this at a dialogue by the Gender Ministry to assess 30 years of the Interstate Succession Law 1985, popularly known as PNDC Law 111. Mrs. Rawlings, who has been at the forefront of the struggle for the passage of the law, believes more women must get involved in the review process. And Odame has more.
The dialogue, organized by the Gender Ministry to commemorate International Women's Day, brought together women from all sectors of the economy. Some men also participated in the dialogue. The Interstate Succession Law, enacted 30 years ago, seeks to provide uniform interstate succession to be applied throughout the country irrespective of the inheritance system and the type of marriage contracted. But years on, some gaps have been identified. Paramount Chief of Asokore Asante, Nana Professor K.B. Asante, highlighted these gaps.
No provision was made to cater for a situation where an intestate leaves a plurality of wives or sets of children by several spouses. The entitlement of the wife and children to one house and all household chattels has been strictly construed by the courts to mean that all wives and children of the deceased are entitled to only one house and the chattels as tenants in common even when the polygamous intestate left several houses, serving as matrimonial homes for each of the surviving wives. It is equally difficult to classify the intestate property as self-acquired if the property was acquired by the joint endeavors of the deceased and the surviving spouse or a particular spouse. Third, the law raises the issue of who was married to the intestate.
For former First Lady Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings, too many men than women are involved in the review and passage of the bill, which was first laid in Parliament in 2009. She believes the gaps identified could be minimized if more women participate in the process.
We have a dominated male population. That's why I made my point about marriages being sacrosanct. But it's also a situation where we had to give and take. For the law to be passed, we had to accept certain flaws, human flaws in the society. But as we are moving ahead, I think it's important to tighten the law better than it was done in 1985.
The majority leader saying how difficult it is even for them in the House to be able to pass this.
Because they are still in the majority. The men are still in the majority. And until we can have a balance even in Parliament, we're going to have a problem. She may be fighting, but hey, the men are still in the majority in Parliament. But women are 52% of this country. Let's get together and do something about it.
Gender Minister Nana Oyelitha made a strong case for the immediate passage of the law before elections 2016.
I mean, it's been 30 years. After 30 years, you sit and reflect on your life. And this is exactly what we're doing, because it was a revolutionary, radical law which went against our customs. And so it was difficult to apply. And we want to assess whether after 30 years it was good to pass such a law. And we all say, yes, it was good to pass such a law. But we're also happy that Parliament is presently considering the Interstate Succession Bill. This bill has been in Parliament since 2009. It's almost 7 years. The women of Ghana are pleading with Parliament, please let this bill be passed before you rise in December 2016. It will do a lot of good for inheritance and property rights of women and children in Ghana.
A citation was given to former President Jerry John Rawlings for his contribution towards the law and was received by his wife, Mrs. Rawlings. For Joy News, my name is Hannah Odami.
In some parts of the world, cohabitation has become the norm for most partners. In fact, the practice is mostly common among people in the Western world. In Sweden, for instance, where the highest prevalence of non-marital union in the world has been recorded, cohabitation has been the norm since the 1970s. In Ghana, the practice has been frowned upon as being against our customs and traditions. As such, women who cohabit with men usually do not benefit from properties they acquire together. However, the Property Rights of Spouses Bill currently in Parliament seeks to address this legislative gap. Clause 3 of the bill stipulates that where persons have cohabited for a period exceeding 5 years and hold themselves or allow themselves to be held out, a party to the union of cohabitation shall be deemed to be a spouse for the purpose of the clause. Executive Director of NGO Gender Equity, Elizabeth Palu, however, says this must be done cautiously.
The spousal bill, and within that, if you heard correctly, there's a section on cohabitation. That is Mpuna Awari or what. First, it was 2 years, and then they've made it 5 years. But as the leader for the gender caucus rightly said, in our culture, we frown upon people in that kind of relationship. They don't want to encourage girls going to those kind of relationships, which will bring a semblance of condoning. But in reality, it's happening because people are migrating, leaving their places of abode where they are known, into other areas, and then they get into this kind of relationship. So they need to be protected. I personally frown upon it. At a workshop by Wildaf, one thing that resonates still with me is what the chiefs said at that conference. They said it is up to us women, especially mothers, to ensure that our daughters marry properly, insist on the right things being done. We should not encourage them to be in those relationships, no matter where they are, even when they leave this thing, because we will not have this in Punawari.
Now, government has fulfilled its promise to reward the brave taxi driver who foiled a robbery attack on a Kuala supermarket staff. But the wife of the taxi driver is not all excited. According to her, some fingers point at her husband when he's driving in town. She is therefore asking government for protection.
The fully furnished two-bedroom self-contained was promised by President John Mahama at the short ceremony to hand over the apartment. The Water Resources, Works and Housing Minister, Dr. Kweku Agyeman-Mensah, on behalf of the President, asked Ghanaians to emulate the example of the hero taxi driver and help to maintain law and order in the country.
Maintenance of law and order is not the exclusive preserve of the police. As good citizens, all of us must be involved in maintaining law and order. The nation is very grateful to this gentleman. I understand the police have already donated a vehicle, and it is my humble duty to present the key to a two-bedroom, fully furnished, on behalf of His Excellency the President. The President is very grateful, and we believe that this should encourage all Ghanaians to help in maintaining law and order.
But it was not all excitement for the taxi driver's wife, as she claims people have been pointing fingers at his husband when he's driving around. She is therefore asking for protection for her husband.
Right now, what I'm thinking and I'm worrying about, when he's gone or when he's sitting on the car the crowd gave it to him, people are points finger at him. This is the man, this is the man. As for that, I'm very afraid. I'm pleading with government, say he should hide my husband for the few time. So
The brother of the driver who received the keys thanked the general public and the government.
Right, we're taking a break now. When we come back, we'll bring you international news. All right, it's time for what's coming up on Joy News Interactive, and well, I have a different person here this evening, Jennifer.
Yes, Israel.
All right, Jennifer, this is your debut on Joy News Prime, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what's coming up on Joy News Interactive?
Well, the big thing on Joy News Interactive this evening is, of course, the Ghana at 59 brochure fiasco. Everybody has an opinion on it. And we're also going to talk about International Women's Day as well. But, you know, this evening, everybody on the Ghana at 59, just take a listen to what they had to say. Well, it's been 2 days since the Ghana at 59 brochure brouhaha, and we took to the streets to find out what you think about the whole thing.
Some people must, some heads must roll, definitely. And I hear the man has given an apology, but I don't think it's enough. Some things need to be done.
And today we're celebrating women across the globe, so we're asking, who is the most inspirational woman in your life?
There are two women I admire. That's my mom and my girlfriend.
So you can join me in the next hour with your comments on these issues on tonight's edition of Joy News Interactive. So Israel, that's what we have for you later.
I'll be seeing you in a bit. So Jennifer will be coming up in the second hour of the bulletin, and she's going to be taking us through the whole of Joy News Interactive. But also coming up in the bulletin, we have entertainment, and then we have sports. Please stay tuned. Now, before we get on with the rest of the bulletin, let's do a quick recap of our top stories. And then in Information Services Department, staff have protested the admission of responsibility for fatal errors found in the Independence Anniversary brochure, compelling the acting director to backtrack on an earlier statement issued to the media. As the world marks International Women's Day, former First Lady Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings is urging women to register their customary marriages to minimize the contentions that arise on the death of their spouses. Enjoy News has uncovered extensive destruction to farmlands in the Afram Plains area in the eastern region from activities of marauding cattle or nomadic herdsmen. In business, Bank of Ghana rejects blame for microfinance debacle, which led to the loss of millions of Ghana cedis in depositors' funds. And government has handed over a fully furnished two-bedroom house, promised the brave taxi driver who foiled a robbery attack some months ago. But the wife is unhappy because she says people are pointing fingers at the husband when he drives in town. And now on to the rest of our stories. It's not easy for a woman living in rural Ghana to make a living out of farming. However, Memunatu John Zubela has braved the odds to become the breadwinner of her family and is sponsoring the university education for her son. Joy News' Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin visited Memunatu in Dega near Boku and speaks to her on how she has managed to successfully negotiate cultural beliefs and gender stereotyping to become a successful farmer. It's all in our theme on International Women's Day.
According to the Food and Agricultural Organization, women make up on average 43% of the agricultural labor force in developing countries.
Nothing takes the place of farming. I have been able to take care of my 3 children up to the university level. I also have cattle under the care of nomadic herdsmen. During the raining season, I employed not less than 20 people to support me.
Memunatu John Azubila is just one of those inspiring women in Ghana. A role model to many farmers, Memuna has risen from scratch to becoming the municipal best farmer in 2015. Ironically, women in rural communities are generally limited to house chores, but the 47-year-old is bucking the trend.
Women were considered as only housekeepers, but for me, the farming business is profitable. It helps in all aspects, including the payment of my children's school fees.
Memunatu wants to make a difference in her home.
Now that women are venturing into farming, we won't sit back and look on while our husbands struggle to feed the children.
I'm satisfied, very, very satisfied. Yes, my satisfaction is that she has been struggling with the farms, and I allow her, you know, I'm a polygamist, and at times we don't allow our women to farm their own things, but I'm seeing that she's doing her best. So I've given her enough to start do it into a larger quantity, so that it will help me. And the way I'm saying I'm satisfied is that she has been taking care of the children. When I was working, I couldn't cater all the needs of the children. So due to her farming activities, she helps me. So I'm very, very satisfied.
From vegetables to animal production, Memuna has a hand in it. And although she does small-scale farming, it is reaping her big rewards.
I do vegetable, including onions and pepper. I also farm maize, rice, local poultry, and animal farming.
My mom took care of us because my father is having about 4 wives. So, and my mom line we are about 5. After the 5, I'm the 3rd born. 2 of them has finished the university. I'm the third one. I'm also in the university. My younger brother, the one before me, he's also in the training college. Then the last one is in the secondary school. So my mom, she has been trying all the best to get all that she can to help us go through the education. So as of now, she had a lot of things to point at, especially in the farming venture, where we went to the garden. She had a lot of cattle who were taking care of them, but she has sent them to the food animal to take care of them. So a lot, I can mention a lot, but yeah, I guess a few that I've just mentioned.
Eliasu is a second-year student at the University of Education, Winneba. He's understandably proud of his mother. For a while, Eliasu and his siblings worried that their absence will hinder the mother's farming fortunes. However, Maimuna pulled through.
My way of changing her life is, though when you are into the farming, I can't say she should stop farming, but I'd rather modernize it in a way that will help her to continue the farming. So that, like buying her some small equipment that will help her, because we need to get her some tractors and other things that will help her to boost the farming. But now that we can't get those big machines, it will help her with those small ones to be able to boost the sector. But apart from that, we can also, as we are also coming out from the school, we will also try to maybe let her understand that she used her money like what she was using in the farming to also boost her in the school. So we'll also let her enjoy it. Then maybe whatever other assist that we have, then we'll also give it to her.
Since we're in the village here, some men don't allow their women to do farming like this. They see those days are gone. Women, they say, oh, a man is not like a woman. Therefore, a woman, they give them small land to farm. But because of these activities, I've been telling my colleagues that since I'm retired and I'm sitting at home, my woman has been able to help me and her children, and most of them has gone very high to educate a high education. So they should eliminate all these things and see that really it is hard work which brings you home something very good.
Maimuna is already making big in the agriculture sector despite the myriad of challenges, including a recent drought. She hopes her farm will continue to turn the fortunes of the family around.
Now, the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, GPCC, says it has noted with great concern video recordings gone viral on various forms of media depicting verbal attacks by Bishop Daniel Binim on his first Vice President, Right Reverend Sam Kranche Ankra, over what the former considers an attack against him in a recent interview granted by Reverend Sam Kranche Ankra. General Secretary of the GPCC, Samuel Yao Entry, has been speaking on the issue on the pulse.
In water. Ordinary water, selling them at exorbitant prices that kills. People are selling orange juices, selling all that, you know, and making money out of it. There have been cases whereby you find people stepping on others in the name of healing because somebody wants to be healed. In the general atmosphere, sometimes you watch on TV, you'll find a preacher who says, when I'm preaching, I must not stand on the ground. He's standing on people. There have been cases where people are eating human hair. There have been cases where people, so we don't talk only about our country, but it's happening also here. So we need to warn Ghanaians generally, and especially Christians, about some of these things that are going on in Christian circles.
So your warning is what? People should not go to these churches, they should not fellowship with them, or what?
We specifically called on Christians to return to the Bible as the main reference point and standard for evaluating whatever is coming up, whatever direction people are being given, whatever prophecies people are being given. You know, that are clear guidelines, and we are urging Ghanaians to return to the Bible, study the Bible for themselves. God listens to everybody. And also, we said that the Bible teaches people to discern those who are of God by examining their fruit. By saying fruit, we are talking of character. The Bible is talking of character.
Right, up next we bring you entertainment. All right, Miss G has joined me for entertainment. Good evening to you, Miss G.
Good evening, Israel. How are you doing?
I'm very fine. How about
Okay,
you?
very well, thank you.
Great.
Okay, so I'm still expecting.
What?
That is International Women's Day. Say something to me.
Oh, happy International Women's Day.
And I go like, same to you.
Well, you can't say that in
No, it hasn't happened to you before. You say happy birthday to someone.
Yeah, it's true. It's
and the person says, oh, same to you.
Yeah, it
and,
happens.
Yeah.
I mean, the initial reaction is
yeah,
to
we are too used to saying same to people, you know. Anyway, so yesterday I told you.
Just like when they ask you, how are you? You say you're fine, whether you're fine, whether you're fine or
You
not.
know that thing. So yesterday we talked about the Pulse concert. One thing I didn't tell you yesterday was the fact that Stonebwoy came with some good news for a lot of people who have followed him all the while. You remember that some time back, some gentleman walked upstage while he was performing.
And mimicked him.
Yes, and then it got him infuriated and he threw the microphone into the crowd. Now he's saying that, look, in the next 3 months, my life is going to change. And here's how he puts it.
Somebody they try to do some foolishness. Oh God, you know, see somebody try to do some foolishness. If you don't know where I say, see these people, they don't know life. If you don't know pain, you don't know life. You ain't big too. So there's a big up everybody who don't laugh at your brother, but to feel your brother's pain. Yeah. I know they're gonna, I go to Germany, I go do my knee. I saw them say, look, I go feed the one. You understand? I saw them say, I go feed the one. It don't be nothing. But I love the way they live and I love the people that they inspire. So make a show, you see this my knee. First, you know the bend. Now you don't see. Now you don't see. Now you don't see. And they do physiotherapy. I do the surgery finish now and they do physiotherapy. In the next 3 months, I'm going to work like normal you people. What you going to pay me?
Well, I'm happy for him.
Yes, exactly.
You know, because there was help. I mean, he could have been helped, and fortunately, he has a means to.
Yeah, and some people who do not know the story thought that he was born like that. Stonebwoy actually had an accident 15 years ago, and that caused him, you know, that injury in his knee.
Yeah.
And so he's been responding to people that I wasn't born like that. If I have the means to correct it, why not? So I decided to go to Germany to get it corrected. So that's how come he had to work on his knee.
Yes.
All right. So yesterday again, I told you that Kaki has been, you know, flaunting in everybody's face that she's a dancehall queen.
Yeah,
saying that some little
between herself and
Miss V. Miss V has some response why it's quite sweet, you know.
I know I don't have anything, there's no bad blood between Kaki and I, and maybe it's something part of her act. But I haven't spoken to her since then. For the show at the interview for promoting the show, we spoke and we are cool. So
did he come to you as a surprise?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Are you bothered by the comments?
Not at all.
Do you think you're the dancehall queen?
My fans say I'm the dancehall queen, and I appreciate that, and I will accept it. But I'm not going to let the title define me.
All right, so that's Miss V responding to Kaki's comment, you know. And so today is International Women's Day, and the theme for today's International Women's Day is Pledge for Parity. One would wonder, is that disparity? For me as an entertainer, I was concerned about the people in the industry, so I thought to find out if there's any form of disparity in the industry. I spoke to actress Lydia Forson.
For me as a filmmaker and a producer, the hardest thing for me is when I walk into a room and I'm looking for sponsorship especially. They just can't believe that I'm actually here to work for my money. The assumption is I should be in there trying to get into bed with the CEO or trying to just win favors. So you walk into a meeting, you're not taken seriously as a businesswoman. So then you have to talk twice as hard. Say for the industry, it just automatically means that in other areas it doesn't happen. I think women's fight is for respect. When you respect people, you treat them equally. But then in that fight for equality, we've kind of missed the road because it seems that now women want to prove that I can do what a man can do.
Right, so, I mean, she's made some comments, and even though if you look at the entertainment industry, you can clearly point to some women who are doing fabulous. There are some great examples like Shirley Frimpong-Manso, for instance, and I think Shirley Frimpong-Manso is doing, really, if you look at it, she's probably doing a lot better than several men.
Yeah, true.
In the industry. So I think she stands out as one classic example. And I believe the other women, I think when it comes to the entertainment industry, the women have an edge.
The women, really?
I actually want to think so. Looking at example,
maybe
citing
movies,
the example of,
but if it comes to music, I don't think so.
Well, yeah, if we take the movies, for instance.
Yes, movies,
but if you look at the women too in the music industry, they're doing fine.
Really?
They're not. Miss V is doing well.
Miss V says she's doing well.
Kaki
is doing fine.
Becca
is doing fine. But, you know, when it comes to shows, do they get the same platform as the men do? Do they get paid the same amount as the men get? You know, there are issues around there. So we spoke again to the president of Musiga, Barima Osei Asare, who we all know as Obo, on the issue of disparity in the industry.
There's no instance that a female musician has said they are not being treated fairly because they are female. You know, I don't think it is the issue. So I think there's a bit of stigmatization against women who decide to do music from their own family, from their boyfriends, and all that. Those are more what the things in the music industry rather than the question of disparity.
You know, and I bet if you ask the men in the industry as well, in the entertainment industry, they would say that women have an edge over them.
Well, that's what Bai said. He said same. And I love the fact that he says it's more of stigmatization. And he says from your boyfriends and your family, you know.
Apart from their boyfriends and their families, there are stories suggesting that women can know what to do to get a role.
Really?
To beat a man to a role.
I see.
Yeah.
Like they do what?
Well,
they are telling me, teach me. I want to do some, you know. And that's what you said. And so I'm interested.
Move on.
Really?
Yeah.
As I sit here.
No, let's move on.
Anyway, okay, so I'm sure that you've been to some weddings recently. You've seen that from your time to now, I mean, the time you got married to now, a lot has changed. Before now, when I was going to weddings, I'm more concerned about the item 13, you know, at the wedding, the food I was going to eat. But these days, it's moved to more of entertainment. People are concerned about getting a celebrity DJ, a celebrity MC, you know, go to the extent of having charades. They have the choreography and all that. We're finding out why.
It turns out that I've not been attending the weddings you have been attending.
Really?
Because I don't know about any of these.
You don't know about any of these?
There's no, I mean, MC weddings actually, but they're normal, straight. Well, a few times you attend a wedding.
Are those colonial weddings? Anyway, we have a report for you. Marriage is the legal or formal recognized union of a man and woman. The laws of Ghana recognizes the celebration of 3 types of marriages. These are marriage celebrated under customary law, ordinance marriage, and Mohammedan ordinance. Before now, marriage ceremonies were just as normal as a traditional ceremony. But these days, couples go a step further to hold white weddings and church events to augment traditional marriage. Become a big deal to get a wedding planner.
If you have no experience in it, just because perhaps maybe you've helped a friend, a sister, a cousin gets married in the past, they automatically assume then that makes them a wedding planner. But what I always say is planning your own event and planning someone else's event is a different ballgame.
This has taken a different turn as a lot more emphasis is being placed on the entertainment aspect of marriage ceremonies. It ranges from getting a celebrity MC, a well-known disc
jockey, and now in season is the formation dance.
Venue and date is the most important. Then I always say that an MC and a DJ are actually one of the most important genders they should book first, because the MC and the DJ make or break your party.
But do these activities add any value to the ceremony? Here's Kobna Yeboah of Roverman Productions and Nathaniel Atto of Multimedia.
People come to weddings not to be bored, but they come to have fun. All the people that came could also go away with something. It was a joyous moment for me, and it did add a lot of value to the wedding.
The base of all of this, just people to want to give an exciting and memorable event, and also to have that uniqueness so that somebody takes something away. Because you see, the truth of the matter is that aside your pictures and maybe your video, everything else is washed away.
What do the public think about these developments at weddings?
It's just exciting, but to me, it doesn't add anything. It just makes the day fun.
Just for the fun of it. Friends coming around, seeing you dancing with your partner, and then making fun of you, that's it. But I don't think it adds any value.
We'll make it fun.
How many of them are willing to either have a celebrity MC or a planned choreography on their D-Day?
Me, I don't MC on my own. Me, I'm a celebrity. If I can afford the personality that I want to MC my wedding, why not?
So Israel, what's going to happen is that you're going to be on standby for me when I'm getting married. You sure have to grab a microphone. Like I'm going to have like 5 or 6 MCs. You do your own in 1 hour. You take your seats, enjoy yourself. Let somebody else come, take the. But what report?
I'd willingly do that.
Oh, reports which indicates that musician Papi Kojo was involved in an accident yesterday whilst he was returning from a festival up there in the central region, but it's not that serious. It's just that a car hit and he's got injuries in his head, and that's Papi Kojo, So he's been Snapchatting about it, and then we've been following. So we thought to update.
All right. Sorry about that. Papi, we wish you speedy recovery.
Yes, we do, and you better come tell us what's between you and Yvonne Nelson. Thank you. That's it for entertainment.
Which one is that?
That's it for entertainment.
Okay, that's it for entertainment. Up next, we bring you sports. All right, Gary Al-Smith has joined me with sports. Good evening to you, Gary.
Hi, hello, Israel. So, today we have some updates on the Champions League, the FA Cup replay, which Arsenal are playing, and also some news from the Barclays Premier League and from Ghana.
Take it away.
Thank you for joining us on the Sports on Prime. Hello, I'm Gary Al-Smith, and we're zooming straight to Europe, where we have 2 games that are currently ongoing in the Champions League. Real Madrid, Roma, and Wolfsburg versus Ghent. Those 2 games, we brought you previews earlier, and then tomorrow we have more. Let's check out the scores and see what's happening in those games. Okay, so we have the highlights at the moment of Real Madrid 0-0 Roma. Don't forget that it was 2-0 in the first leg, where Cristiano Ronaldo was part of the goal scorers. But in this game, if Real Madrid are able to win, it will be the 6th time they go through to the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League. So, elsewhere though, in the English Premier League, no, these are not the scores, but there's a lot happening in the FA Cup. Arsenal are currently leading Hull City by a goal to 0. In the Barclays Premier League, Leicester City say that they are ready to make some history and to win the title this season. Don't forget that it's been a dream season for the Foxes, and they are currently on top of the league.
They have to create extra space, and the Leicester City trophy cabinet is drawing ever closer. The prize for winning the Premier League would sit here and represent the club's greatest ever achievement. Riyad Mahrez, whose 16th goal of the season secured victory at Watford, calmed fears over his fitness by training today, despite limping off on Saturday. He should be fit for the run-in, with his side 5 points clear at the top.
This is an amazing season for us. Everything we achieve is something more. The others must be nervous. The others spend a lot of money to win the title. We have to build slowly, slowly. This year is a crazy season for us, for everybody, and we are happy.
This time last year, Leicester were bottom, 7 points from safety and apparently doomed to relegation. But they took 22 points from a possible 27 to survive and mount a title challenge 12 months later. With the same number of games remaining, 9, they're clear of the field. And according to one former Leicester player, the title is theirs to lose.
Without a doubt, they're at the top of the table. They've been fantastic. They have really sort of lit up the Premier League, and everybody's so happy that Leicester are there. And if you're not Tottenham, or if you're not Arsenal or Man City or whoever else is there, West Ham, then everybody wants Leicester to win the league, and I just think it's through their sheer togetherness.
There's no doubt Leicester remain the form team with fewer distractions, but they need to make their advantage count before the final 3 fixtures.
They can lose it as quick as they possibly could win it. If they switch off for a game or 2 games, they're out of it. Because I think if they go behind and they become second place or third place and they're 1 or 2 points behind, I don't think they will win the league. They have to stay top.
With so many fans desperate to see Leicester make history, tickets for their remaining fixtures are like gold dust. Between now and the end of the season, every game is guaranteed to be a sellout.
Season, and they are top of the Barclays Premier League. It looks like the other teams are not pulling their weight at the moment, though. And so we will check out what the table looks like in the Barclays Premier League. Leicester, top of the league, and also we have Tottenham and Arsenal in that order. Tottenham second, Arsenal third, Manchester City fourth, West Ham United fifth, Man United sixth, Liverpool seventh, Stoke City eighth, Southampton ninth, and Chelsea 10th in that order. Let's go to World Football Governing Body FIFA, and the new boss Gianni Infantino has been challenged to change the face of women's football. Don't forget that today is International Women's Day, and women are also being celebrated in the world's beautiful game.
Billie Jean King on Monday delivered a keynote address at FIFA headquarters in Zurich, challenging the organization and its new president, Gianni Infantino, to transform the face of world football.
1/3 of all appointed leadership and management positions at FIFA be women, beginning right now. Now, not in 30 years. Let's get it done because it'll make FIFA so much stronger. Anyway. Number 2, the hiring of a Secretary General that has a proven track record of supporting gender equality. A proven track record of supporting gender equality. It's the only way it's going to happen. Number 3, and I think this is huge, which we've been talking about already, immediately creating a team to develop a serious commercial strategy focused on women's football as the primary area growth for FIFA.
King was speaking to open the annual Women's Football and Leadership Conference, which coincides with International Women's Day today. With Infantino having been appointed for a first term in office less than 2 weeks ago, already widespread reforms have been passed to commit to the promotion of women in the sports administration and on the field.
It's important to have the reforms process to really change FIFA, and I'm glad that within the reforms process there was a change to have 6 women in the future council, because that will really change the culture. If you have a diverse board, then it's a lot better than just having an old men's network.
International Women's Day is still being marked around the world. In boxing, let's come home. And the Black Bombers, the national boxing team, are still complaining about the poor condition of facilities at the Theodosia Oko hockey pitch. That's where they are camping for their pre-Olympic qualifiers that are supposed to be taking place in Cameroon. They've still not got their flight tickets, and they are not happy about the way things are going.
Time for night. After when it's time for sleeping there, we suffer a lot. If I did not tell you, I'm lying. We suffer a lot. Everybody come out to the hall to come and sleep. At times, some people come and sleep at the down. Some people come and sit at the down. They cannot feel. They cannot sleep even when it's night and here is dark. the mosquito, they like the darkness. So at times, if the hair is dark, they bite us a lot. And at times, we cannot sleep here. We sleep around 12 to 1 going. And, you know, we have to wake up in the morning, 6 to 7, to go to training. So at times, if we wake up, we are feeling that we are weak because our sleeping is not enough for us. So this is the problem that we are suffering now.
Camp is going well, but our living conditions is a bit bad though. But when it comes to training-wise, we're proper training.
What do you think the living conditions you mentioned are going to affect your performance?
Maybe we might catch malaria because we get a lot of mosquito bites. We don't have water, we don't have electric. Yeah, that's the main problem. But training-wise, it's going very well.
It's a disaster, but we are managing. You know, we are managing. Look, such a people who are going to, you know, participate in a very big competition, and they are in this situation. You know, it's very bad. But you know, we are managing to catch up with things.
Still in the preparation for the Olympics, Team Ghana is still having a lot of problems. Most of it has to do with money. And the Olympic swimming team has gotten a boost in terms of finances because a group calling itself Just Because Fitness Club has raised funds with the Ghana Dolphins, that's the national swimming team, to support Abeku Jackson, who is one of our best swimmers, towards the Olympic Games that will happen later this year.
We swim at the Bema Camp pool every Sunday morning, and we met the Dolphins here, the Ghana Dolphins here, and we were impressed by their dedication, their discipline, and the success with which they swim with. And we learned one of them was going to the Olympics, so we decided that let's help to make sure that they are at the training edge, they are the winning edge of training. And so we decided to support them, organize this competition, so that they can raise some money to get some starting blocks so that when they are training Olympic-style training. For Abeku today, we are trying to raise at least a minimum of 30,000 cedis. Then after that, it definitely incurs some cost to train an Olympic swimmer and get him to the Olympics. So gradually we hope to definitely raise a minimum of $100,000 to get him to the Olympics comfortably and to train more swimmers to represent Ghana for all events.
Meanwhile, Abeku Jackson, the Olympic swimmer in question, is also gearing up for the 2016 Games. He says that qualifiers are a must win for him.
It was really amazing. The parents are really struggling. They're trying their best to help support J-Dog, which is, we're really thankful for it. I'm training as hard as I can. I'm doing my best. I make sure I listen to my coach. You have to pay attention to your coach because it's the key. If you have a bond with your coach, trust me, you'll be the best.
Ghana swimming to Olympic, to international tennis. You may have heard about the story that broke 24 hours ago when Maria Sharapova organized a press conference to announce that she's failed a drug test, and that happened at the Australian Open. According to her, a drug she's been taking for the past 10 years, which was banned only from the 1st of January, was done without her consent. She said she didn't check her email and so she couldn't find out in time. However, some of the sponsors have not taken lightly to the matter and have severed the relationships they have with her. Top of them are the world's largest sports kit manufacturer, Nike. They've cut all their contractual obligations with her. Also, Tag Heuer, the watchmaker from Switzerland, has also cut ties with Maria Sharapova. Very interesting story, but we end with the news that it's halftime in the UEFA Champions League. Real Madrid, Roma currently ongoing, and Wolfsburg versus Ghent. This is our feed on Joy Sports GH on Twitter. So Wolfsburg, Ghent is goalless at the break, but the home side have the advantage. Don't forget that Wolfsburg are leading 3-2 on aggregate. Also, Real Madrid 0-0 with Roma, and it's 2-0 on aggregate to Real Madrid, and it's scoreless at the break. Elsewhere, there's another match ongoing. Arsenal are leading Hull City by 1-0, and Olivier Giroud celebrated like this when he scored. Don't forget to get all the updates on Twitter at Joy Sports GH and also on Facebook at Joy Sports. I'm Gary Al Smith. We'll be back later with more sport.